Hey, what's going on guys? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the mod display enhancements. So since I'm the mod author of this mod, I know most everything about it, and it's probably best if I do a video. Because for the Skyrim version, I didn't, and people were a little confused. So this is going to be a quick video running through it. So on my screen at the moment is a preset from it, and it is quite a shitty preset because of the blur, but you can remove that. So if you don't actually know what this mod is, it is a graphical mod, and it basically lets you select things and change your graphics to sort of how you want it to look. The mod gives you example presets. You use those presets and sort of make what you want with them. And yeah, so that's basically what this mod does. So at the moment, the only mod I'm using is display enhancements. So all these effects you're seeing is from display enhancements. So when you first install the mod, you get given a holotape. When you load this holotape, you get a couple options: example presets, cinematic options, RGB options, HDR options, field of view options, generate random preset, remove all presets. So I'm going to run through these real quick. So the first thing I want to talk about is remove all presets. So if anything in this mod that you change, use, or whatever, pressing this button here, or pressing this option here, remove all presets, removes all the effects you currently have applied to your screen and puts it back to the original game. The only thing this doesn't remove is field of view, so you have to put that back manually or reset your console to get your FOV back to normal. So if I press this, the presets that are currently on the screen will be removed, as you can see. And it's now back to the original game, except for my FOV, because I changed it before. So, presets. So I'll explain how presets work real quick. So, presets work, they don't affect your FPS. This mod doesn't affect your FPS. So presets are applied to your screen. All these effects are applied to your screen. And it's sort of like a layer. So imagine sort of a layer being put in front of your eyes. That's basically what this is. It doesn't actually affect performance. So if you're looking for a graphical mod that doesn't affect performance, this is basically that mod. So if you do get impacts for performance, it's not from this mod. It will never be from this mod. It can't do that. So example presets. Let's go into here. So preset 1, preset 2, and it has lots of different presets. So these are just all example presets. You just click these, click random ones, and just mash them up and see what you come up with. Or you can just use one in general, I don't know. But how these work is you select one, it applies to your screen. And you can apply multiple at once. So if you apply one, you can apply more. So for example, preset 1, if I click this, you can see my screen is really colourful. Now I know some people are going to bring it up saying preset 1 is very colourful and it's like very vivid. So that's the point. The point of it is to be very vivid and stuff, so that you can apply it with other presets to make it look better. So for example, if I were to apply preset 2 now, you can see it's a lot more darker now. And you can see it's overlaid with it, because preset 2 is sort of a darker preset, so it overlays with it and makes it darker. So if I apply it again, you can see it's even more darker, and it's even a bit more contrast. So that's basically how the presets work. You just select what one you want, you just go through them and just select them, and you can combine them, do whatever you want. And if you don't like these presets, you can just press remove all presets, and it will remove everything you've applied to your screen. So at the moment there's no save and load option. It is coded in the actual mod, but it's not going to be used, I don't think, because I don't really see the point in adding it, because you can just save your game and change settings. If you don't like the way you've changed it, just load back to your save and you'll have the original settings. So cinematic options. This is where you change the brightness, saturation and contrast. So these work in conjunction with the presets. All of these work in conjunction with each other. So if you apply presets and you want to change the RGB options or HDR options or anything, they all work in conjunction. So for example, the saturation. I'll remove the saturation a bit to make it a bit more saturated. So if I go to saturation, you just keep clicking this. You can see my screen's becoming saturated already. So you can see it's a lot more saturated now, and it doesn't look as good. And you can do the same with contrast if it's really, you know, if you want it to be black and white for some reason. So you can see that that stuff does work. I don't actually know why it's sort of doing that, but anyway. So you can see that that's basically how that stuff works. And of course, if you don't like what you've done, you can either load back to the save you created, or just remove all the settings. And you can see it's back to normal. So, that's cinematic options, you can change that stuff. RGB options. So by default, this is disabled. To enable this, you go into options and click enable disable RGB. So the reason this is disabled is because it slows down the mod. If you have this enabled, the mod will work slower. So when you remove presets, generate random presets, and so forth, it will take longer to do this when RGB is enabled, because RGB is quite a hefty chunk of this mod, and it requires a bit of stuff to get working. And yeah, so I wouldn't really recommend using this unless you don't care about the speed of the mod. So in here, basically there's two categories, tint and fade. So tint sort of applies it to the shadows, I'm pretty sure. So tint applies it to the sort of shadows of the game. Fade is sort of a layer in front of your screen. So imagine like a plastic filter in front of your eyes, and it gets redder and redder and redder until it's fully red. That's basically how this works. And you know, the tint just makes shadows more red or green or whatever you want it to be. So it's RGB, like I say, it's RGB. So RGB is 0 to 255, or 256, whatever. And this is the alpha. So each time you click red, for example, so every time you press this, okay, I need to enable it apparently. So if I enable it here, RGB is enabled, go back here, go to RGB options, fade, and I were to plus the red. You can see that my screen's really red already. So this is like an alpha. So alpha just means transparency. So when it's at 0, it's fully transparent. When it's at 255, it's fully non-transparent. So your screen will basically just be red. So that's basically how that works. And you can basically tie in other colors. So if you want some blue in there, you can put some blue in there. You want some green in there. You can see it all ties in with each other. And yeah, that's how RGB works. So yeah, just to recap, tint is sort of the shadows of the game, and well, it sort of brightens, changes the colors of sort of the darkened areas. That's what I've seen anyway. I'm not too sure. And RGB is, I know it's the sort of a layer on your screen, sort of just covers your eyes with a certain color basically. So HDR options, I'm not entirely sure what any of these actually do. Bethesda doesn't actually give a really good description of what these actually do, so I'm unsure. But I know eye adapt speed changes how your eye adapts to shadows. So if you walk from a bright area to a dark area, you'll notice your eyes will adjust in the game to it. And if you change this, it can change how that works depending on what you do and when you change it. Bloom scale, that basically either adds more bloom or removes the bloom. So if you keep clicking the negative option, it will completely remove the bloom and you have no bloom in your game. And yes, sky scale and these other scales, just I'm not too sure what they do. I have a rough idea, but I don't exactly want to say in case it's not, because so I'm not entirely sure what most of these do. So yeah, you can't really look them up either, because I don't think they'll show up with anything. But you can just play around with these, see what happens. If you get some cool effects, then yeah, awesome. But they're just there anyway. And there's field of view, so currently this is kind of broken, but if you go into here, you better change your field of view to a certain field of view, so like 160 for example. If I press this, and I come out to third person, I have 160 FOV. Yeah, for some reason it's only doing it first person, so I obviously have to change that. Yeah, third person. So yeah, that's a little buggy. So yeah, there's that. And then there's options, which we've already talked about. And then there's generate random preset. So when you press this, it just generates a random set of it just generates a random preset based off what it's been given. So since I've RGB enabled, it's going to take quite a while, because it has to remove all the colors, as you can see it's doing. So this is why I recommend having RGB disabled, because it really slows down the mod. So in a second here it will disable. Okay, so here we go. Apparently this is the preset it generated. So preset generation completed. So here we go. I generated this. Awesome. It doesn't look too bad. So anything the preset, the generate random preset generates, you can make yourself, because it uses everything that's given in this mod. It doesn't use outside sources that you can't use. It uses everything in this mod. So it uses all the example presets, you know, cinematic options, RGB, HDR. Depending if you have RGB enabled, it will use it or not. So I'm going to disable it just to show you how quickly it does it now. So if I go back and generate it again, you can see it's already generated it. Like, it did it nearly instantly. So you can see how much more faster that is, and it generated sort of a green sort of looking one, which is sort of dumb, to be honest. And let's see what it generates now. Sometimes it can give some pretty nasty effects. So apparently it generated something, I don't know what. So if we remove, okay, yeah, I can see it's definitely done something, because the Pip-Boy sort of looks a bit different. So if I remove all presets, you can see it's removing the stuff. And apparently it removed all the effects, but it didn't. So it's a bit of an issue there. Ah, it's because of green, right? Yeah, since I disabled the RGB, it's not gonna actually remove them. So I have to go into here, enable it, and oops, I didn't want to do that. Okay, you guys get the point anyway. It's gonna take a while to do this. So that's basically what display enhancements is and how you use it. There's not much more to explain other than that. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, have fun with the mod, and yeah, have a good one. Let's see what this generates. Okay, this looks like horse shit. Anyway, have a good one.